So Henry is back, retired back in 2020 and came back 2023, lost 2 fights against Aljamain and Merab. Can't fault him there, but he's 38 years old now and probably on the brink of another retirement. But either way, when you're looking at this fight on Saturday night, the big part about here is going to be him looking for the wrestling. Obviously, that's his main path. And really what he's going to need to do here is absolutely wet blanket Song. He's going to need to keep him, down, wrestle him, push that pace. And that's the big thing here that you're looking at a 38-year-old, that can he push a wrestling pace for 25 minutes? The upside here is, can he get a finish? I'm not on that side of it looking for the finish. If Henry's going to get the victory, he's going to need to implement a lot of that wrestling, keep Song down positionally. But Song on their side here comes from Team Alpha Male Camp. He has a good wrestling background, solid foundation, 72% takedown defense rate. That's absolutely going to be tested here. And the big thing here is, also is that, Henry Cejudo is kind of undersized for the division a little bit. He's going to be 2 inches shorter. He's going to have a 3-inch disadvantage. And I think that's also going to add some advantages to Song Yadong, where we're talking about the takedown defense. Now, I think he's going to have the physicality. I think he's going to have the strength, where we're talking about inside the clinch, on takedowns. That's going to be the vulnerability on Song, but I think it also is the availability for him to sprawl and brawl and create space. And if this plays out on the feet, big advantages here for Song Yadong. He's got the cleaner striking, the harder hitter, better combinations, and the other part, again, 3-inch reach advantage. So I think he's just more dynamic compared to Henry at this particular point. So the way I'm going on this fight is pretty much both these guys are very durable. Both these guys can take a shot, and Henry, on the other side here, he has only been finished 1 time in his professional career. You've got Song Yadong finished twice in his professional career. Once was in 2020 against Corey Sandhagen, and the other was in 2014, way back when. So I think this is a spot where there's going to be opportunities for both to look good in certain rounds, but I do think that Henry, his power, is going to get this on the scorecard. So getting off the big number here, I do like Song Yadong by points, and that's sitting at plus 130, and I think that's how he gets the job done on Saturday night. All right, so in this one here, we got Costa here, and he is minus 120. The comeback here on Fili, he is plus 100. Now, this line opened up around minus 180 for Fili, depending where you're shopping it, and it has been all Costa money coming in, and I kind of believe it's a little bit to do with the fact that Fili is now 34 years old, ton of MMA mileage, a lot of wars he's been in, and, it's just kind of also looking that even his last fight against Cub Swanson, not the greatest look, although he got the victory, it wasn't his best performance. Now, Costa on her side here, solid Muay Thai, well-rounded, but he's 2-2 within the UFC, and even the guys that he beat, little suspect here, where Austin Lingo he beat, not very good. He's cut from the organization, and his most recent fight against Nurzulton, I forget who it was, actually, to be honest with you. But it was a 2-0 going into the 3rd round. And it really kind of looked like Costa was not going to be, kind of going to be getting the job done here. He ends up gassing, allowing Costa to get the victory, submission victory in the 3rd round. And he's got decent grappling, but also the fact he makes a lot of positional decisions that are mistakes. Now, Fili on the other side here, he's got a lot of experience. I think that he's a UFC vet that really has put it all together. And any way you look at it, he's better everywhere that I think that Costa is. There's really nowhere that I think Costa has the advantage. I think that you've got Fili, who's going to have the sharper boxing. He works very well behind his jab, sets up his combinations very well, good volume, and also he can mix in the takedowns. And I think that's really where this can go here, where he can work in some takedowns, mix it up a little bit, very well-timed takedowns behind his combinations. He will also have a 3-inch reach advantage. So again, a lot of availability there for him to get the job done. Plus, you're looking at that this is a sizable step up in competition also for Costa. And you're looking at a pick-em price tag, while, Fili has faced high-level guys throughout his career, guys like Dan Ige, Nathaniel Wood, Joe Anderson Brito. I mean, these are high-level guys, and that's just the caliber of opponent I think that Fili can beat, that Fili has advantages and has the experience over Costa. And then also, lastly, I just really do think that Andre can move forward. He can push the pace. He's going to have the better boxing. He's going to work in tight, mix it up a little bit. I like the way he stance switches and changes his angles. So in this spot here, I think that Costa doesn't have the goods here. I think that Fili, even at this point, and even with the wear and tear, is going to get the job done. So I don't agree with the line movement. I think if you're getting Fili at a short plus number or pick him wherever it may be in there, I think it's a good spot, and I like Fili to get the job done.
So yesterday on the show, I talked about Rui Hashimura to go over 1.5 made threes. He went under, Prez, but he had 8 of them. He went 1 for 8. They play tonight. I would go right back to that. That's how you make money off these props. If it loses once, but you see those attempts are high, you go right back to it. So as soon as they release Hachimura over 1.5 made threes, I would go right back to it despite the loss. We're looking at the attempts, not the makes from last night. Tonight, guy I like to go under his threes is Nikola Vucevic. You talked about the Bulls tanking there, Prez. His three-point shooting has absolutely fallen off a cliff. This was a prop we liked on the over to start the year. Now, last 10 games, he's shooting 21.2% from threes. That's awful. He's only attempting 4 3-point shots the last 8 games. He's gone under this in 4 straight games. And in 2 games against the Knicks, he's a combined 1 for 6 from 3. So Vucevic and the tanking Bulls, they're going to be a really, really good team to fade the rest of the year.
Yeah, and is that a prop we should be looking to bet on a regular basis?
It's looked really good.
Night?
Yeah, it's looked really good before the All-Star break. So, yeah, we talked about, Hachimura. You're not looking to get a quick score off of one game in these props. You're looking to go 5-2, 6-2 with these. So, if Vucevic, if you see his attempts are way down, yeah, keep playing the under. He's not shooting the ball well. His motivation's at an all-time low, and I'm not sure he's going to get a ton of minutes, especially if they're playing well and they might be winning. Some of these guys that are scoring, they're gonna yank them. So, yeah, Vucevic under. I would continue monitoring this one, and you probably can get a nice run on the under.
In USC tonight, they're on the road. They're plus 12.5. They're playing against Maryland. The total here is 154.5, and this is a 20-6 Maryland team who are, ready to roll or not. How do we bet this game?
Yeah, I'm seeing more 11.5s than 12s on this game than I am 12.5s total, at least looking at the odds logic screen. And by the way, promo code Teddy will get you a 7-day free 7-day trial with the odds logic screen. I encourage you, check that out today. It's a really good product. Again, promo code Teddy for the odds logic 7-day all access free trial. But I'm seeing more 12s, 154 on the board right now. Opened last night, Maryland 10.5, 153. And I'll start with this. I agree with the money, at least so far. The Terps are real, all right? They've won 7 of the last 8. They're, 3-0 ATS their last 3. They're 4-2 ATS Big Ten at home. They've won 12 straight at home, 15-1 at home this season. It's been a home court that's been worth something so far. And from a point spread value standpoint, I don't know we're going to get a ton from Maryland. They're ranked top 15 in everything, Ken Pom or Torvik or et cetera, et cetera. That being said, they deserve that ranking. Maryland is absolutely loaded. All 5 starters have averaged double figures. Derek Queen, Jacoby Gillespie, Julian Reese, Rodney Rice, Selton Miguel, the Crab 5, they're calling them. And that is an elite starting 5 for Maryland. That's a good team. All right. It's a team capable of making a big run. And obviously the stats show it. So from a value standpoint, I don't love Maryland right now, but I don't want USC today. Plain and simple. Trojans, look, they're coming off a bad loss to Minnesota, a game in which they blew a 14-point lead. And the Gophers played well in that contest. But nonetheless, at home, losing to Minnesota, not a good sign at this stage of the season. And I hate this travel spot for the Trojans. Think about the West Coast teams, all right, since the beginning of January. And these aren't seasoned traveling, I've been traveling my whole life. No. They're moving around now in a way they've never done. But since the beginning of January, they've already gone on a road trip, played at Illinois and Indiana, then back to LA, then to Nebraska, then back home, then to Northwestern and Purdue, then back home. Now they're heading east again, the last road trip of the season east. I don't love it for USC. The markets don't love it. Maryland's real. If I'm playing, I'm laying with the Terps tonight. Maryland or pass for this better. That was an overtime game, let's not forget.
Yeah.
It was 264, but that was an OT game. And, of course, the Pacers were lucky to win that game, facing the worst team in the league before the break. But they overcame a 19-point deficit and found a way to win at 134, 130 in OT. Looking at my Odds Logic live odds screen. Again, use promo code Teddy. Get a free 7-day all-access trial for the Odds Logic live odds screen. It's a really good product. But right now, all the money has come for Memphis. -2, -2.5. Total up to 250 from 248.5. This has been a very one-sided series in recent years. Grizzlies 6-1 straight up, 7-0 against the spread against Indiana since 2022. Every Memphis win during that span, 6 of them, has come by double digits. The only loss came when half the team was injured last year, and they still managed to cover the number. The only meeting this season, the Pacers went nuts early. They hung 45 in the first quarter. They were up 54-37 mid-second, up by 17. And then Memphis made a run and didn't stop. It was 74-53 Grizzlies after halftime. They won the game by 15. These first game back off the All-Star break, I'm always interested in the coaches' quotes. Here's what Rick Carlisle had to say, the Indiana Pacers head coach. Quote, "Playing Memphis is the first game back. You're getting thrown into the deep end in terms of physical, competitive, high-level opposition. They're number 2 in the West. They've had a great year. They play a style that's very difficult style to defend. They play fast. They play physical. And they've got star players." In other words, Carlisle is making excuses already. Now, last year, the Pacers, after the break, they won by 14 at home against the Pistons. The Grizz lost 5 straight coming out of the All-Star break. They did cover +9, losing by only 6 to the Clippers. A true wire-to-wire cover in their first game back. So both teams under these head coaches have good track records in that first game back. You know, Indiana looked a little gassed down the stretch. They didn't play great basketball. They were 2-3 straight up in their last 5 games. And again, one of the wins came against the Wizards in overtime. Tyreke Halliburton, quote, "Every first practice after the All-Star break is typically just a lot of running. You know, you're playing, you're doing a bunch of different things. I felt like as a group, we might have been looking a little tired over those last 6 or 7 games. You know, these last 29 games, we want to be better. Hopefully the break was refreshing for everybody." Indiana should get Miles Turner back in the line. Miles Turner is a guy who is absolutely impactful on the court and rarely affects the point spread. So I think that is in Indiana's favor for this evening. That being said, I really love this quote from Jaren Jackson. I worry about the teams that sent a bunch of guys to the All-Star game. Memphis wasn't necessarily one of them, but Jackson, after the All-Star festivities, quote, "Now that it's over, my mind is completely pivoted back to Memphis. My mind's definitely in Memphis as soon as the buzzer went off. Back with our team, and I'm just ready to get back to the team, honestly." So the lean here is Memphis. We've missed a number. The lean here is over as well, and that one we haven't missed a number quite so much. I do expect a lot of tempo tonight. 250, no joke of a total. That being said, I'm not sure how much defense we're going to see from either side this evening, and I am expecting a relatively high-scoring affair. So lean Grizzlies, lean over with the Pacers and Memphis. Let's talk about the Bucks and the Clippers for tonight. Like I said, all the money's been coming in for LA, and it's everything to do with the Bucks injury report. We don't know if Giannis is going to play tonight. We don't know if Damian Lillard is going to play tonight. Both players listed as questionable. The early money had shown for LA. The markets are not convinced we're going to see Lillard and or Antetokounmpo this evening. And if the Bucks don't have that duo, I don't really want Milwaukee. There are some teams. Memphis is a great example, a team we just talked about. Indiana's a great example, a team we just talked about. When they're missing a key player or two, boy, the depth is there and everyone else steps up. And we trust those squads when they're missing players and catching extra points. Milwaukee's not like that. When Giannis isn't in the game, when Lillard is in the game, the supporting cast simply isn't good enough. Even with Kyle Kuzma joining the team. And of course, you know, Doc Rivers isn't too worried. Well, we started out, 2-8. We're 29-24. We'd love to be better. We dropped some games this year we clearly could have won, but those are all behind us. Hopefully we'll have great health in the second half of the year. And I love where we're at. That's not an urgency quote. There's urgency for the Clips, in a sense. You know, Nicholas Batum, we got a lot of road games coming up. They're on a long road trip here to come out of the break. It can be good as a team just to stick together, get together in the gym, practice, get to know the guys. We've got some great big games coming up. It'll be good for the rest of the season. Clippers beat the Bucks soundly last month. James Harden scored 40 points. They beat him by 10 in that contest. And in general, I'm going to bet against NBA line moves 5 points, regardless of player absences. Milwaukee, I don't know if I'm doing that tonight. If Giannis plays, you'll get a great number right now with the Bucks. That being said, I'm not convinced he's going to be in action tonight, and that's one we're going to wait until a little bit closer to tip-off before we get involved with it. We get involved at all, Lawrence. We need to know if the Bucks' top two guys are in or out.